Let me set the scene. Thursday night, 6:47 p.m. I'm standing in my hallway, heart pounding with anticipation, cradling this beautiful chocolate ganache cake I'd poured 3 hours of my life into after work. The plan was perfect. A surprise 30th birthday party for my husband Maxwell. But then I heard it. Howls of drunk laughter echoing from the living room. A sound that would rip my world apart. I'd raced home, picked up our daughter Nora from daycare, dropped her off at my parents', grabbed all the party supplies from Target, all to set this up before Maxwell got home. But he beat me. I walked in to find 5 grown men, Maxwell included, sprawled across our sectional, beer cans everywhere, roaring with laughter at something on our TV. Our wedding video. Our wedding video from 3 years ago. I froze in the doorway, cake still heavy in my hands. That's when Anthony pointed at the screen shouting, "Look, look, here it comes." And Maxwell, my husband, leaned forward, a sick grin on his face. "Oh man, watch this." And there I was on screen in my wedding dress talking to my aunt by the dessert table. The camera panned and my blood ran cold. There was Maxwell by the bar with Lisa, my best friend since high school, my maid of honor Lisa. And clear as day on our wedding video, he leaned in and kissed her. Not a peck. A real undeniable kiss, his hand on her waist. I never saw it at my own wedding, too busy with 200 other guests. But there it was, an ugly truth laid bare. Then Maxwell said it casually to his friends. "Remember when I kissed Lisa during the reception? She could not resist me that night." And Simon, one of his buddies, cackled. "Your wife never suspected a thing. She was too busy with guests." Maxwell just shrugged, a disgusting smirk on his face. "She's so naive." Naive. The word hit me like a physical blow. I was still there, rooted to the spot, holding that damn cake, the party decorations still in my car. My phone, a tiny lifeline, was in my back pocket. Slowly, meticulously, I pulled it out and started recording. Because what the actual hell was happening right now? Then Maxwell took another swig of his beer and delivered the final punch. Been secretly meeting her for 2 years now. 2 years. His friends high-fived him, Anthony saying, "2 years, man, that's impressive." And Maxwell, my husband, the father of my child, looked at them and said, "Honestly, I only stay because her dad pays our mortgage, and she does everything around the house like a maid anyway, so why would I leave?" They clinked their beers together. Clinked them like it was something to celebrate. I recorded for 2 solid minutes before my hand started shaking so violently, I couldn't hold it steady. They were ranking Lisa against me, discussing how Lisa was more fun, and didn't nag about cleaning the garage or spending money. How I was basically a live-in house manager who happens to share his bed sometimes. He said those exact words. Live-in house manager. I backed out of the hallway as silently as I could, placed the cake gently on the kitchen counter, and walked outside. I sat in my car in my own driveway for 20 minutes just breathing. I needed to not go back in there and commit a felony. My dad, my amazing father, had been paying our mortgage for 2 years since Maxwell's startup failed, and he couldn't find work. My dad, who writes that check every single month because Maxwell swore he was getting back on his feet. My dad, who thinks Maxwell is a good husband because he plays the part so well at family dinners. And I've been working full-time, doing everything at home, taking care of Nora, who just turned 4, meal planning, all the invisible labor, and apparently I was also the punchline of jokes with his disgusting friends while he slept with my best friend. 2 years. 2 years he's been seeing Lisa. I did the math right there in my car. That meant it started when I was pregnant. When I had hyperemesis gravidarum, barely able to keep food down, and Maxwell would go to the gym or meet Francis for drinks. When I was so sick I couldn't get off the couch and he'd come home at 10 p.m. smelling like perfume, and I actually believed him when he said Francis's girlfriend wore too much and it rubbed off when she hugged him goodbye. The naivete stung. I called my sister Alicia. Didn't even say hello. Just started ranting, a torrent of words spilling out. Maxwell's been cheating with Lisa for 2 years. I just found out watching our wedding video with his friends, and he was bragging about it. Alicia, bless her, was stunned. "I'm coming over right now," she said. "No," practically screamed. "He doesn't know I know yet, and I need to figure this out." She convinced me to send her the video first. Smart. I sent it to her phone, then texted it to myself from 3 different numbers, just to be absolutely sure I had backups everywhere. Then I went back inside. They were still watching the wedding video. Now they were on our first dance. Simon actually said, "Dude, you're literally dancing with your wife while thinking about her best friend?" And Maxwell's response? Makes it hotter, honestly. I walked right past the living room into our bedroom and closed the door. I flung open his side of the closet and started yanking clothes off hangers, stuffing them into the biggest, blackest, hefty bags I could find. His shoes, his workout stuff, all his stupid graphic tees he thinks are vintage but just make him look like he shops at a middle school. I could still hear their laughter outside, a grating sound that fueled my rage. I filled 4 garbage bags before I heard footsteps. The door opened. Maxwell, beer in hand, a pizza stain on his shirt, asked, "Babe, when did you get home?" He saw me surrounded by his belongings in trash bags. "What are you doing?" he asked, genuinely confused. I just stared at him. This was the man I married, the man I've been supporting financially and emotionally, while he screwed around with my best friend and made fun of me to his buddies. I came home to surprise you for your birthday, I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. Had your favorite cake and decorations in your car. Instead, I got to hear you tell your friends how you've been meeting Lisa behind my back for 2 years, and only stay with me because my dad pays your bills. His face went vampire white. He actually stumbled back. Babe, wait. I can explain. That wasn't. Do not call me babe ever again. I cut him off, my voice rising. I have the whole thing on video. That's when he switched tactics. It was just guy talk, locker room stuff. I was exaggerating to sound cool. I met his gaze. So, you weren't kissing Lisa at our wedding reception? He dismissed it with a wave. That was nothing. Just a drunk mistake 3 years ago. That's it. I pulled out my phone and played the video back. His voice echoing through the room. Him saying he's been meeting her for 2 years. Him saying I'm naive. Him saying my dad pays our mortgage like it's a punchline. He lunged for my phone, and I yanked it back so hard I almost dropped it. If you touch me or my phone, I will call the cops right now and have you removed. He backed off but then launched into a pathetic speech about how marriage is hard, he made mistakes but we can work through this. What about Nora? What about our family? I love you, we can fix this. I asked him point blank. How many times have you been with Lisa in the past 2 years? He wouldn't answer. It doesn't matter, we should focus on moving forward. I asked where they meet up. That's not important. Was it happening in our house when I was at work? He actually looked offended. No, never here. I would never disrespect you like that. Like that was where he drew the line on disrespect. His friends were still in the living room, suspiciously quiet now, which meant they definitely heard us fighting. Maxwell kept trying to touch my arm, and I kept stepping away. Finally, he pleaded. Can we at least talk about this privately without everyone here? And I said, your friends can leave, but you're not staying in this house tonight. He actually laughed. Laughed. This is my house too, and you can't just kick me out. My dad pays the mortgage. I reminded him, my voice dangerously low. Which means my dad is on the lease. And I'm calling him right now to let him know his son-in-law has been committing fraud by accepting mortgage money under false pretenses while cheating on his daughter. That shut him up real fast. I walked past him back to the living room where Anthony, Simon, and the other guys were suddenly intensely interested in their phones. Get out of my house, I told them, my voice flat. They scattered like roaches, grabbing their stuff and practically running. Anthony tried to say something to Maxwell on his way out, and I snapped at him. Save it. Once they were gone, Maxwell started again with the rationally talk about this speech. I cut him off. You have 2 options. Option 1. Pack a bag, leave tonight, and we handle this through lawyers. Option 2. I call my dad right now, I call Lisa's fiancé Beau right now because yes, she's engaged to someone else, and I post that video on Facebook tagging every single person we know. His eyes went wide. You can't do that, he stammered. Watch me, I said, already pulling up Facebook on my phone. That's when the begging started. Full on his knees begging. I'll do anything. I'll cut off Lisa completely. I'll go to counseling. I'll prove I can change. He grabbed my hands and I ripped them away. I want you out of this house in 1 hour. Pack whatever you need for the next few days because you're not coming back. You can stay with Anthony or Simon or literally anyone else, but not here. Not around me. And definitely not around Nora. He kept trying to negotiate, nowhere to go, asking if he could sleep on the couch, promising he wouldn't bother me. 1 hour, I repeated, and walked back to the bedroom to continue packing his things. He followed me, standing in the doorway. Please just let me explain everything. I whipped around. There is no explanation that makes this okay. I don't care why you did it or how it started or what your excuse is. You spent 2 years lying to my face, sleeping next to me at night, playing happy family with our daughter, eating meals I cooked, living in a house my father pays for, all while screwing around with my best friend who I trusted. He tried to say Lisa seduced him, that she came on to him and he was weak. I actually laughed in his face. You're a grown man who made choices, Maxwell. Own them like an adult instead of blaming everyone else. Then my phone rang. Maxwell's mom, Juliana. I let it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. I answered. Maxwell just called me very upset, saying you're kicking him out over a misunderstanding, and you won't listen to reason. Juliana snapped. There's no misunderstanding, Juliana, I said, my voice cold. Your son has been cheating on me for 2 years with my best friend, and I have video evidence of him bragging about it to his friends. She got quiet. Then in a sickly sweet voice, all men have their moments, dear. Don't throw away your marriage over boy talk. I hung up on her. I hung up. She texted 3 times after that. I blocked her number. Maxwell, still standing there, had the audacity to say, see? Even my mom thinks you're overreacting. And I lost it. Your mother raised a man who thinks cheating is boy talk, and lying is acceptable, and using his wife's family for money while disrespecting her is totally fine. Your mother is the last person who gets an opinion on our marriage. I shoved the garbage bags I'd packed into his arms and told him to get the rest himself. He took them to his car while I sat on the bed, just breathing, the adrenaline making me shake. When he came back in for more stuff, I asked him, "Was our entire marriage a lie? Did you ever actually love me? Or was I just convenient?" He swore he loved me, that the thing with Lisa just happened, and spiraled out of control. I asked when he last saw her. He wouldn't answer. If it was recent, you better tell me now. He finally admitted they met up for lunch on Tuesday, 2 days ago. He saw Lisa for lunch while I was at work, then came home and ate the dinner I made and played with Nora before bed. Didn't say a word. "I want a divorce," I told him. He started crying. Actual tears. "Please don't do this. Think about Nora. We can fix this. Nora deserves a mother who respects herself enough not to stay with a cheating liar," I said. "And a father who knows actions have consequences." He packed 3 more bags. I followed him around the house, making sure he wasn't taking anything that wasn't his. He tried to grab the iPad. "That's Nora's for her games," I said. "You can't have it." He argued. "Take it up with your lawyer." Just before he left, he turned in the doorway. "You're making a huge mistake. You'll regret this. We're good together." "We were never good together," I shot back. "I was just too busy managing everything to notice you were a lying cheat." He tried one more time to hug me. I stepped back. He finally left. I locked the door behind him. All the locks. The deadbolt. The chain. Then I went around and locked every window. Checked twice. Then I sat on the floor in my kitchen, staring at that stupid chocolate cake I'd made for his birthday. 3 hours of baking and decorating with those little fondant toppers he likes. I grabbed a fork and ate cake straight from the platter on my kitchen floor at 9:30 p.m. on a Thursday night. My phone was blowing up. Maxwell calling and texting. His mom texting. His brother Anthony texting saying I was being too harsh. My sister calling to check on me. My dad calling after Alicia told him what happened. I hadn't called Beau yet, Lisa's fiancé. I knew I should. I knew he deserved to know, but I couldn't deal with one more thing tonight. I finally texted Alicia and told her to pick Nora up from my parents tomorrow morning and take her to preschool like normal. I didn't want Nora seeing me like this. My parents could keep her through the weekend while I figured out next steps. Shout out to whoever is reading this thinking, "Why didn't you just throw the cake at him?" Honestly, same. But that cake was too pretty to waste on his face. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I handled this right. All I know is I'm sitting here at almost midnight on what was supposed to be his birthday party, and instead I'm Googling divorce lawyers and eating cake alone, trying to figure out how the hell I tell my 4-year-old daughter that daddy isn't going to live here anymore. I barely slept Thursday night. Maxwell was texting nonstop. "We need to talk. Please don't do this. I love you. This is fixable." Around 2 a.m. he switched to, "I deserve a chance to explain myself properly." I didn't respond to any of it. Just lay there, staring at the ceiling in my house that my dad pays for, while this man who's been using me thinks he deserves anything. Around 6 a.m. I finally dozed off. Then at 7:15 a.m., aggressive banging on my front door. I grabbed my phone and went to the living room. There was Maxwell outside in the same clothes from yesterday, absolutely pounding on the door yelling, "Open up! We need to talk." My neighbor Lillian across the street, getting her newspaper, was staring. Another neighbor walking his dog stopped to watch. Maxwell saw me through the window and started yelling louder about how I can't just shut him out and we're married and he has rights. I opened the door but kept the chain lock on. "You need to leave right now or I'm calling the police." He played the victim. "I just want to talk like adults. Adults don't cheat on their wives for 2 years, and then show up screaming on their doorstep at 7 a.m. for the whole neighborhood to hear." I shot back. He tried to shove his foot in the door gap. Shove. His foot. I slammed it on his foot. He yelped and jumped back. "You do not get to intimidate me. If you don't leave in 60 seconds, I'm calling 911. Lillian across the street actually pulled out her phone. Maxwell saw her, got back in his car, but rolled down the window, yelling about how I was being unreasonable and destroying our family. I went back inside shaking not from fear but from rage. The sheer audacity of this man. I called my dad, told him everything. My dad, the calmest person alive, was fuming. He said he was coming over right now, we were changing the locks today, and Maxwell was not getting a key. Then he said he was calling the mortgage company to make sure Maxwell's name was taken off everything. My dad showed up an hour later with my mom and Alicia. My mom brought breakfast sandwiches from our favorite deli. I started crying when I saw her. I'd been holding it together all morning, but seeing my mom just broke me. We sat in my kitchen and I showed them the video. My mom watched, hand over her mouth. When it ended, she said, "That boy is not welcome in this family anymore." My dad was so angry his hands were shaking. I trusted him. I helped him. I paid for his life while he disrespected my daughter. Alicia wanted to drive to wherever Maxwell was staying and slash his tires. My mom had to talk her down. Then my phone rang. Lisa. Lisa was calling me. Everyone went silent. I stared at the screen. Alicia hissed, "Do not answer that." "Oh, I'm answering." I said, putting it on speaker. Lisa's voice came through, hesitant. Hey, I know this is awkward, but can we meet somewhere to talk? Talk about what exactly? I asked. She got quiet. Maxwell called me last night crying, saying you kicked him out, and I just want to explain my side. I laughed. An actual bitter laugh. There is no side that makes sleeping with your best friend's husband okay. She launched into a pathetic speech about how it just happened, and neither of them meant for it to go this far, and they tried to stop so many times. But there were real feelings involved. Real feelings? Like that makes it better? I asked. How could you sit at my kitchen table every weekend for brunch, hold my daughter, and ask me about my marriage while actively destroying it? She said. It's not that simple, and things between me and Bo haven't been great, and Maxwell understood me in a way Bo doesn't. My mom grabbed the phone from me then and went off. She told Lisa she was a disgrace, a terrible friend, and she better never contact me again or come near our family. Lisa tried to say something, but my mom hung up. We were all stunned. Then Alicia broke the silence. So are we telling Bo? Yes, absolutely, I said. He deserves to know. The problem was I didn't have Bo's number. Lisa and I were friends, but I only ever saw Bo at group things. Alicia found him on Instagram, his profile was public, so she sent him a DM. This is about Lisa and Maxwell. Please call me. It's urgent. He called her back in 10 minutes. Alicia answered, explained who she was, then passed the phone to me. I had to tell this man I barely knew that his fiancée had been cheating on him with my husband for 2 years. The silence on the other end was so long. Then, are you sure? I have video of Maxwell bragging about it to his friends. He asked if I could send it. I did, through Alicia's Instagram DM. Bo called back 5 minutes later crying. Really crying. Said he and Lisa were supposed to get married in 4 months, and he just put a down payment on their venue last week. He kept asking how long, where they'd met up, all these details I didn't have answers to. I'm so sorry, I said. I only just found out myself. This is not your fault, he said, his voice raw. Thank you for telling me. Then he hung up. My mom made us all sit down and eat the breakfast sandwiches, even though nobody was hungry. You need food in your system, she said. Today is going to be a long day. She was right. Around 11 a.m., the locksmith showed up and changed all the locks. While he was working, Maxwell's mom, Juliana, showed up. Just showed up at my house unannounced. My dad answered the door and told her she needed to leave. She pushed past him into my entryway. I need to speak with my daughter-in-law. I came out of the kitchen. She stood there, purse clutched to her chest, looking all proper and concerned. Sweetheart, I know you're hurt, but you're not thinking clearly. Maxwell made a mistake, but he's a good man and a good father, and you need to forgive him for Nora's sake. By the way, if you're still with me, make sure to hit subscribe. More unbelievable stories are coming. Maxwell spent 2 years lying to everyone, I told her, including his own daughter, while sleeping with my best friend and using my father's money. That's not a mistake. That's a choice he made over and over again. She went on. Marriage is about forgiveness and working through hard times. Every couple has rough patches. I asked her if she'd stay with her husband if he cheated on her for 2 years. She got huffy. That's different and not the point. My mom came out then. Juliana, you need to leave my house immediately. They actually got into it right there in my entryway. Juliana saying my mom raised me to give up too easily on my marriage. And my mom, a force of nature, saying she raised me to have self-respect and not tolerate being treated like garbage. The locksmith just stood there with his drill, looking uncomfortable as hell. My dad finally got between them and physically escorted Juliana to the door. She turned around and delivered her parting shot. You're going to regret this when Nora grows up without her father. I lost it. Maxwell can be a father to Nora without living here and lying to me. And maybe if you'd raised him better, he'd know how to be a decent human being. She left. My dad locked the new lock behind her. I spent the rest of Friday morning calling divorce lawyers. Found one who could meet me Monday. My dad's paying for it because I cannot afford a divorce lawyer on my salary, and Maxwell sure as hell isn't going to pay for his own divorce. Around 2 p.m., I had to pick up Nora from my parents' house. I was dreading it. How do you tell your 4-year-old that everything is changing? Nora thankfully was in a good mood. She asked where Daddy was and I just said, Daddy is staying somewhere else for a little while. She asked why and I said, Mommy and Daddy need some space right now but we both love her so much. She seemed okay with that and went back to playing. Kids are resilient but I knew this was going to get harder. I brought her home, made her favorite pasta, and we watched Encanto for the millionth time. She fell asleep on the couch next to me, and I just sat there looking at her little face, thinking about how I was doing this for her too. So she grows up seeing that her mom doesn't accept being treated badly. So she learns what she should and shouldn't tolerate in relationships. My phone wouldn't stop. Maxwell texting asking to see Nora. His mom texting saying I was being cruel. Anthony texting saying Maxwell was really struggling and maybe I should hear him out. I responded to exactly one text to Anthony. Your friend Maxwell bragged to you and everyone else about cheating on me, so he can deal with the consequences. And if you have a problem with that, you can go struggle right alongside him. Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 text messages from Maxwell. Walls of text about how sorry he was, how he'd do anything, how I was the love of his life and Lisa meant nothing compared to me. I finally responded, told him he could communicate through my lawyer from now on, and any contact needed to be about Nora only. He immediately called. I didn't answer. He called 6 more times. I blocked his number. He started calling from different numbers, random ones I didn't recognize. I'd answer, thinking it was the lawyer's office, and it would be Maxwell begging. I blocked 4 different numbers on Saturday alone. Saturday evening, Alicia texted me a screenshot. Lisa had posted a long Facebook post about going through a difficult time and asking for privacy, saying people make mistakes and real friends stand by you. The comments were confused, but a few mutual friends were supportive. Then Bo commented. Just one line. Lisa, you don't get to play victim when you're the one who destroyed our relationship and multiple families. It went off. People demanding to know what was going on. Someone asked if Lisa cheated and Bo replied, yes, with her best friend's husband, while her best friend was pregnant and taking care of their new baby. I didn't ask him to do that. I wasn't even on Facebook at that point, but Alicia sent me screenshots. Everyone we knew saw it. People started commenting on Maxwell's Facebook, asking if it was true. Maxwell deleted his Facebook entirely by Saturday night. Lisa made hers private. Shout out to the commenter on my original post who said the trash was taking itself out. Accurate. My phone started ringing with numbers I didn't know. When I finally answered one, it was my aunt asking if the Facebook stuff was true. I told her yes. She said the whole family was horrified and completely supported me. Then my cousin called. Another aunt. My dad's brother. Everyone calling, checking on me, telling me they were team me. Which was nice, but also exhausting because I had to explain the situation 17 times. Sunday morning, Maxwell showed up at my house again, this time at 9 a.m. He rang the doorbell over and over. I looked through the peephole. He was standing there holding flowers, a bouquet of roses. I did not open the door. He started yelling through the door about how he knew I was in there, and we needed to talk face to face. Nora was still asleep, thank God. I texted him from my laptop using iMessage since I'd blocked his number. You need to leave immediately or I'm calling the cops for harassment. He texted back. Harassment? Really, babe? I'm your husband trying to save our marriage. I called my dad. He drove over and confronted Maxwell in the driveway. I watched from the window as my dad got in Maxwell's face and said if he showed up at this house one more time without permission, he'd file for a restraining order himself. Maxwell tried to argue, but my dad said he wasn't discussing it and Maxwell better be grateful he wasn't getting his ass beat for what he did. Maxwell left the flowers on my doorstep and drove away. I threw the flowers in the garbage can. Alicia came over Sunday afternoon, and we meal prepped for the week while Nora played in the backyard. Alicia kept asking if I was okay. Honestly, I didn't know. On one hand, I was so angry and hurt and betrayed. On the other hand, I had to function, take care of Nora, go to work tomorrow, act normal. She told me I should take time off work, but I couldn't afford to. I needed my job. I needed my paycheck. I needed stability for Nora. Sunday night, I finally sat down and made a list of everything I needed to handle. Divorce lawyer Monday. Custody arrangement. HR about emergency contacts. Cancel the joint credit card. Separate bank accounts. Tell Nora's preschool Maxwell wasn't allowed to pick her up. The list was so long, so overwhelming. I just wanted to cry. But also, I was done crying over Maxwell. Then Sunday night around 10 p.m., after Nora was in bed, I got a text from a number I didn't know. This is Bo. Can we talk? I honestly didn't even know what there was to talk about, but I said, okay. He asked if he could call. Yes. That phone call with Bo on Sunday night absolutely wrecked me, and I'm still trying to process everything. He called around 10:30 p.m., apologizing for reaching out so late, but he couldn't stop thinking about it and needed to talk to someone who understood. I told him I got it and asked how he was holding up. He said he confronted Lisa on Friday night after I sent him the video. She denied it at first, said Maxwell was lying, exaggerating to impress his friends. But Bo kept pushing and she finally broke down, admitted they'd been seeing each other, but insisted it wasn't serious and only happened a few times. I asked him if he believed that. No, he said, because then he went through her phone. Lisa had apparently left it on their kitchen counter when she went to take a shower. He just picked it up and went through everything. Her passcode was his birthday, so it wasn't even hard. He found months of messages between her and Maxwell on Instagram DMs. A whole thread going back almost 2 years, just like I suspected. But here's the thing that made me want to throw up. They weren't just meeting up for hookups. They were talking about being together for real. About leaving us and starting over together. Bo, read me some of the messages. I had to put him on speaker because my hands were shaking too hard to hold the phone. Maxwell telling Lisa he thought about her constantly, wishing he could wake up next to her every morning. Lisa saying she felt more herself with Maxwell than she ever has with Bo, them discussing how they'd handle custody of Nora and what their life would look like together. They were planning a future. While I was making Maxwell's breakfast, doing his laundry, raising our daughter, he was texting another woman about leaving me. Bo said there were messages from when I was pregnant with Nora. Lisa telling Maxwell she was jealous watching him play Happy Family. Maxwell saying he wished it was Lisa he was having a baby with instead. My vision literally went blurry when Bo told me that. Then Bo said something that made everything so much worse. He asked if I knew about the Instagram account Maxwell made under a fake name, just to message Lisa without anyone seeing. I had no idea what he was talking about. Bo sent me screenshots through Instagram DM. Maxwell made a whole fake account with a random guy's photos as the profile picture and a generic name like James Peterson or something. That's how they communicated most of the time, so if anyone saw their phones it wouldn't look suspicious. Bo only found it because Lisa had it saved in her close friends list or something technical that I don't fully understand. I spent an hour on the phone with Bo just going through everything. He told me Lisa had been lying to him for months about where she was going, saying she had work events or girls' nights, when really she was meeting Maxwell. They'd go to this hotel about 30 minutes outside town. The same hotel every time. Room 347 apparently, because they mentioned it in multiple messages like it was their special place. I wanted to scream. This wasn't just cheating. This was a whole secret relationship with plans, routines, their own little world that existed alongside our real lives. Bo asked if I knew when it started exactly, and I said Maxwell told me 2 years, but I didn't know beyond that. Bo pulled up the earliest Instagram DM he could find, and it was from March 2023, right after Nora turned 2. Right when Maxwell's job was failing, and he was spiraling about money, and I was working overtime to keep us afloat. I asked Bo what he was going to do. He said he already ended things with Lisa, told her to move out of their apartment. She'd been staying with her parents since Friday night and had been blowing up his phone trying to explain herself, but he was done listening. Then he asked me something that caught me off guard. He asked if Maxwell was the type of guy who tried to manipulate his way back in. Absolutely yes, I said. He's already shown up at my house twice and called from 6 different numbers. Bo said, yeah, Lisa said Maxwell told her he's not giving up, and he knows he can convince you to take him back, because you always forgive him eventually. Excuse me. Maxwell told Lisa I always forgive him? Like this is a pattern? Like he's done stuff before and I've let it slide? I asked Bo if Lisa said anything else about that, and he said not really, but it was clear from their messages that Maxwell thought I was manageable. That's the word they used. Manageable. As in easy to control and manipulate. We talked for almost 2 hours total. By the end we were both just exhausted and angry. Bo said he was glad we connected because at least we weren't going through this alone. I told him I was here if he needed to talk again, and he said same. After we hung up I couldn't sleep. Just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about every time Maxwell said he was going somewhere and I believed him. Every late night at the office, every gym session that ran long. Every weekend he said he was helping Anthony move or meeting Simon for a basketball game. How many of those were lies? How many times did he come home and kiss me and play with Nora after spending the afternoon with Lisa in room 347 of some random hotel? Monday morning I had to get Nora ready for preschool and myself ready for work, functioning on like 3 hours of sleep. Dropped Nora off and went straight to the lawyer's office for my 9 a.m. appointment. The lawyer's name is Franca, and she's apparently one of the best divorce attorneys in the area, according to my dad's research. Her office is in this building downtown. I sat in the waiting room filling out intake forms, trying not to cry while checking boxes about assets and debts and reasons for divorce. Franca called me back at 9:15, and we sat in her office for over an hour going through everything. I showed her the video of Maxwell and his friends, told her about the Instagram messages Bo found, explained the mortgage situation with my dad paying. She took notes on everything and said, this is actually a pretty straightforward case since we have clear evidence of infidelity, and the financial situation favors you. She asked about Nora and what kind of custody arrangement I wanted. I want primary physical custody with Maxwell getting supervised visitation until I feel confident he's stable. Franca said that was reasonable given the circumstances and asked if I thought Maxwell would fight for custody. Honestly, I said, I don't know what Maxwell will do at this point because the man I thought I knew doesn't exist. She outlined next steps. File for divorce this week, serve Maxwell the papers, start discovery, work out temporary custody and support arrangements. She estimated this could take anywhere from 6 months to a year depending on how cooperative Maxwell was. I left her office feeling weird, like this is really happening. I'm getting divorced. My marriage is over. Nora is going to grow up in a split household. I went to work after that and tried to focus, but my coworker Annabelle kept asking if I was okay because apparently I looked terrible. I finally told her during lunch that I was going through a divorce, and she was so shocked because Maxwell and I always seemed happy at company events. That's the thing nobody tells you. You can seem happy from the outside while everything is rotting from the inside. I made it through the workday somehow, picked up Nora from preschool, and we stopped at the grocery store. We were walking through the produce section and I looked up. Lisa. She was just standing by the apples, like it was a normal Monday afternoon. She saw me at the exact same time. We both froze. Nora was sitting in the cart, playing with her stuffed bunny, completely oblivious to the tension. Lisa opened her mouth like she was going to say something, and I just turned my cart around and walked the other direction. She followed me. Actually followed me through the grocery store. Wait, please. I just want to talk for 5 minutes. I kept walking, got to the cereal aisle, and she caught up, stepping in front of my cart. Please. I know you hate me, but I need you to understand it wasn't supposed to happen like this. Nora looked up at Lisa. Hi, Aunt Lisa. Why is Mommy mad? My heart broke. My daughter still thinks this woman is safe. I told Nora to close her eyes and play with Bunny for a minute, then looked at Lisa. You need to leave me alone right now. I'm sorry, okay? I'm so sorry, but Maxwell and we fell in love, and neither of us planned it, and it's been torture watching you not know. Torture. I asked her if it was torture enough to stop. She went quiet. Exactly, I said. It was torture you chose to keep inflicting on everyone. You could have told me. You could have ended your relationship with Bo. You could have done anything besides continue lying for 2 years. She started crying right there in the cereal aisle, saying she knew she messed up, she hated herself, she lost everything. I told her she should hate herself and she didn't lose everything, she threw it away. Then she said something that made me want to slap her. She said Maxwell really does love me and he's devastated, and maybe I should consider giving him another chance because everyone makes mistakes. I laughed. Are you seriously standing here defending the man who destroyed both our lives, while crying about losing him? She said. It's complicated and you wouldn't understand the connection they have. I understand perfectly, I told her. 2 selfish people found each other and decided their wants were more important than everyone else's feelings. That's not a connection. That's just mutual selfishness. Some other woman shopping turned the corner into our aisle, and immediately backed away. Lisa wiped her eyes and said she hoped someday I could forgive her because she missed her best friend. We stopped being best friends the second you kissed my husband at our wedding, I said. And you lost any right to my friendship when you kept lying to my face for years after that. Then I pushed my cart past her and finished shopping while she just stood there crying. Got home and Nora asked why Aunt Lisa was sad. I had to explain that sometimes grown-ups have arguments, and Aunt Lisa did something that hurt Mommy's feelings, so we're not going to see her anymore. Nora seemed okay with that, but I knew she'd ask more questions eventually. Tuesday I went back to work. Everything felt surreal. Just going through the motions, emails, paperwork, clients, while my entire life was imploding. Maxwell texted me from another new number Tuesday afternoon. We need to discuss custody of Nora and can we please meet somewhere neutral to talk? I responded and told him to have his lawyer contact mine. He said he didn't have a lawyer yet and couldn't afford one. That sounds like a him problem, I said. He called immediately from that number. I answered and he launched into this speech about how I was being vindictive and using Nora as a weapon and he has rights as her father. You should have thought about your rights before you cheated, I said. He said I wasn't being fair and I was punishing him too harshly. Too harshly. Like there's an appropriate punishment level for 2 years of infidelity that I'm somehow exceeding. I asked him point blank. Were you and Lisa planning to leave us and be together? He got quiet. Where did you hear that? He asked. Bo went through Lisa's phone and found everything. All the Instagram messages, all your plans, all your discussions about leaving us. Maxwell tried to say those conversations weren't serious. They were just venting or fantasizing. Do you really think I'm stupid enough to believe that? I asked him. He said I was twisting everything to make him look worse than he is. You made yourself look bad by cheating on your wife for 2 years and planning a whole secret future with her best friend. He said I didn't understand how hard things were for him when his business failed, and I wasn't being emotionally supportive enough. So now it's my fault he cheated? Because I wasn't supportive enough while I was working full-time, raising our daughter, managing an entire household, plus dealing with his depression spiral? That's the weakest excuse I've ever heard. I told him. You're going to have to do a lot better than that when we're in court. He goes, we don't need to go to court. We can figure this out ourselves. No, I said. We really can't because I don't trust a single word that comes out of your mouth. He started yelling about how I was being impossible and I hung up. Blocked that number too. He's now blocked on 5 different phone numbers, and I'm sure he'll find a 6th. Wednesday morning my dad called. The mortgage company confirmed Maxwell's name was removed from everything, and my dad was now the sole payer. If Maxwell tried to claim any ownership, we had legal proof he never contributed. That was satisfying at least. Wednesday night, Nora asked when Daddy was coming home. I had to sit her down and explain that Daddy was going to live somewhere else from now on, but she'd still get to see him. She asked if it was because of her and I nearly broke down right there. No baby, it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes grown-up relationships change, but Mommy and Daddy both love you so much. She seemed to accept that, but then asked if Daddy left because I was mean to him. I wanted to scream because obviously Maxwell said something to her. No sweetie. Mommy wasn't mean. Daddy made some choices that hurt Mommy, and we're going to live separately now, but it's not your fault at all. She cried a little and I held her, and we watched Bluey until she fell asleep. Thursday morning Franca called. The divorce papers were ready to be filed and served. She asked if I knew where Maxwell was staying. I said probably with Anthony, but I wasn't sure. She said she'd hire a process server to track him down. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from Nora's preschool. The director said Maxwell showed up, trying to check Nora out early. They wouldn't release her to him because I'd updated the pickup list on Monday to require my written permission. Maxwell apparently caused a scene, arguing with them until they threatened to call the police, and he left. I called Maxwell immediately on FaceTime using Nora's iPad since he's not blocked there. He answered and I went off. You do not get to show up at Nora's school causing problems and scaring the staff. He said he had a right to see his daughter and I was keeping her from him. You can see Nora when we have a legal custody arrangement through the court, and until then you need to back off. He said I was being unreasonable and vindictive and trying to turn Nora against him. The only person turning Nora against anyone is you, by showing up at her school and getting escorted out. He tried to argue more and I ended the call. Then Friday happened, and everything got so much worse because Maxwell showed up at my work. Okay, so Friday afternoon, I'm at my desk doing billing trying to focus when my coworker Annabelle speedwalks over looking panicked. There's a man in the lobby demanding to see you, and he has an older woman with him, and they won't leave. I knew immediately. It was Maxwell. Just a gut feeling. I told Annabelle to call building security and that I'd handle it. Are you sure? She asked. Absolutely not, I said. But I'm doing it anyway. I walked out to the lobby. There was Maxwell standing there in khakis and a button-down like he was here for a job interview, and Juliana, his mother, next to him in a full pantsuit, looking like she was about to present a legal case. Our receptionist looked so uncomfortable. Maxwell saw me. Thank God. We need to talk right now. You need to leave my workplace immediately, I said, my voice flat. Juliana stepped forward. Now, dear, we're not leaving until you hear us out because this has gone on long enough and you're being unreasonable. I looked at the receptionist. Call security. That's not necessary. Maxwell interjected. We just want 5 minutes. You don't get 5 minutes, I told him. You don't get anything. You're harassing me at my job. Juliana pulled out her phone and started showing me something. It was a voice memo. She hit play. It was Maxwell crying like full sobbing saying he couldn't live without me and Nora, and he was falling apart, and his mom is worried he's going to hurt himself. I stared at her. Are you seriously playing me a recording of your adult son crying to manipulate me into taking him back? She goes, it's not manipulation. It's showing you how much pain he's in because of your actions. My actions? I laughed. So hard the receptionist jumped. Juliana, Maxwell is in pain because of his own actions and choices and consequences. And if he's struggling, maybe he should talk to a therapist instead of showing up at his wife's workplace with his mommy. Maxwell tried to grab my hand. I yanked it back. Please just come outside and talk to me for 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. What part of I have nothing to say to you do you not understand? I shot back. We have a daughter together and we need to figure this out like adults. We are figuring it out, I said. Through lawyers and the court system, like adults do when they can't trust each other. You're really going to throw away 3 years of marriage without even trying? He asked, his voice getting louder. You threw it away, I said, my voice cutting through his. When you stuck your tongue down my best friend's throat at our wedding reception and then kept screwing her for 2 years. I said that loud. The receptionist's eyes went wide. Annabelle was watching from the hallway with her phone out, probably ready to record. Juliana, horrified, said, There's no need for that kind of language. There's no need for you to be here at all, I replied. Since this is between me and Maxwell. She said as Maxwell's mother, she had every right to defend her son when he was being treated unfairly. Security showed up then. 2 big guys in uniforms. Is there a problem? They asked. Yes, I said. These people need to leave the building. They're harassing me. Maxwell tried to argue. I'm her husband. I'm allowed to talk to her. Not on private property when she's asking you to leave, one of the guards said. Juliana started going off about how this was ridiculous, and she'd never seen someone act so cold toward their own husband. Maxwell was trying to talk over her to security, explaining that we were going through a rough patch, but we're working it out. I cut him off. We are not working it out. I have a restraining order pending, and these people are violating my space. It was a lie. I didn't actually have a restraining order yet, but it got security to take it seriously. They told Maxwell and Juliana they had to leave now or they'd call the police. Maxwell looked at me with these pathetic puppy dog eyes. I love you. Please don't do this. If you loved me, I said, you wouldn't have cheated on me for 2 years, humiliated me in front of your friends, and used my family's money while planning a future with someone else. Juliana still tried. He made a mistake. A mistake, I retorted, is forgetting to buy milk. A mistake is not a 2-year affair with coordinated Instagram accounts and hotel rooms. Security literally had to escort them out. Maxwell was still trying to talk to me over his shoulder as they walked him to the exit. Juliana was threatening to call someone, I don't even know who. My boss came out after they left. Are you okay? Do you need to take the rest of the day off? I told him I was fine and apologized for the disruption. He said it wasn't my fault and if those people showed up again I should call the police immediately, not wait for security. I sat back down at my desk shaking. Not from fear. From rage. The absolute audacity of Maxwell to show up at my workplace with his mother like they're staging an intervention, like I'm the problem that needs to be fixed. I got through the rest of the workday somehow, picked up Nora from my parents' house, where she'd been staying after preschool, and drove home. Checked my phone at a red light. 23 text messages. Maxwell from 2 different new numbers. Juliana. Anthony. Maxwell's aunt who I've met like twice. All of them saying I embarrassed Maxwell today. I was being cruel. I needed to think about Nora and give Maxwell a real chance to explain. I responded to exactly one message to Anthony. If you or anyone from Maxwell's family contacts me again, I'm filing harassment charges against all of them. Then I blocked everyone. Saturday morning Franca called. The divorce papers were served Friday afternoon at Anthony's apartment, where Maxwell has apparently been staying. Maxwell has 30 days to respond. She asked about the workplace incident. I told her everything. She said that was actually helpful for our case, showing a pattern of harassment and disregard for boundaries. I asked Franca about custody. She said based on everything Maxwell's behavior, the school incident, the workplace harassment, we had a strong case for primary physical custody with supervised visitation. She said we'd push for a parenting coordinator to oversee exchanges, so I don't have to deal with Maxwell directly. That made me feel better. The thought of having to see Maxwell every week for custody swaps was making me sick. Saturday afternoon my dad came over with my mom and Alicia. We sat in my backyard while Nora played on her swing set. My dad said he talked to his lawyer about the mortgage, and if Maxwell tried to claim any interest in the house, we had documentation proving he never paid a single dollar. My mom asked how I was really doing. Honestly, I told her. I'm angry and hurt but also relieved. I didn't realize how much stress I was carrying trying to manage Maxwell's moods and keep him happy while doing everything else. Now that he's gone, the house feels lighter, even with all the chaos. Alicia said she was proud of me for not backing down, that a lot of women would have caved by now with all the pressure and family involvement. I told her I'm not caving because the second I do, Maxwell will know he can manipulate me forever, and I'm done being manageable. Sunday, Nora asked when she was going to see Daddy again. Soon, I told her. We're working out a schedule. She asked if Daddy did something bad. Daddy made some choices that hurt Mommy, and we can't live together anymore. But Daddy still loves you very much. She accepted that and went back to playing with her dolls. Monday morning Franca called with an update. Maxwell hired a lawyer finally, some guy who apparently isn't great but was cheap and willing to take payments. His lawyer already reached out, asking if we'd be willing to do mediation instead of going to court. Franca asked what I wanted to do. I thought about it. I want to go to court. I want a judge to see the evidence and make decisions because I don't trust Maxwell to honor any agreement we make privately, Franca said. That's probably smart given everything. Tuesday evening, I was giving Nora a bath when my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. Usually I don't answer those anymore but something made me pick up. It was Bo. He asked if I had time to talk. Sure. Give me a few minutes. Got Nora out of the bath, settled her with a show, and called him back. He said Lisa moved out of her parents' house and into an apartment downtown, and she'd been trying to contact him constantly. He'd blocked her everywhere. But she keeps finding ways to reach out through mutual friends. I asked how he was holding up. Some days are okay, he said. And some days I'm so angry I can barely function. I get that completely, I told him. He said the wedding venue wouldn't refund their deposit, because the cancellation was within 4 months. He was out $5,000 because Lisa couldn't keep her legs closed. We talked for almost an hour just venting. At one point Bo said, "You know what's crazy? They probably still think they're going to end up together. That once the dust settles we'll both move on, and they can just start their relationship openly." Over my dead body, I said. Will I ever be okay with Maxwell and Lisa being together? Bo said same. I'll never accept them as a couple. I told him, Maxwell can do whatever he wants once we're divorced. But if he thinks I'm going to co-parent nicely with him and his mistress, he's delusional. Wednesday morning, I had to go into Nora's preschool for a parent-teacher conference about her behavior. Her teacher said Nora has been acting out lately, getting upset easily and refusing to share with other kids. I explained that we're going through a separation and things are chaotic at home. And the teacher was understanding, but said we might want to consider some play therapy for Nora to process her feeling. Thursday, I got a call from Franca saying Maxwell's lawyer filed a motion for temporary custody pending the divorce. Maxwell is asking for 50-50 physical custody, and for me to pay him child support since I make more money. I laughed. Actually laughed on the phone with my lawyer. Asked her if he's serious and she said, "Unfortunately, yes." She said, "We'll fight it. And with the documentation we have about his behavior, there's no way a judge grants that. But it shows Maxwell's mindset right now. He really thinks he can cheat on me for 2 years, humiliate me, use my family's money, harass me at work and at Nora's school, and then demand 50-50 custody and money from me. The delusion. Friday morning, 3 weeks after this nightmare started, I dropped Nora off at my parents' house and met Franca at the courthouse for our first hearing. It was just a temporary orders hearing to establish custody and support until the divorce is final. Maxwell was there with his lawyer looking miserable. We had to sit on opposite sides of the courtroom and he kept trying to make eye contact with me and I just stared straight ahead. His mom was in the back row glaring at me the entire time. The judge reviewed both our motions and asked Maxwell's lawyer why his client thinks he deserves 50-50 custody when he has an unstable living situation, no fixed income, and a documented history of showing up at the child's school without permission. Maxwell's lawyer tried to argue that Maxwell is a devoted father who's being kept from his daughter by a vindictive spouse. Franca stood up and calmly presented the video evidence. The judge watched it right there in court with the sound on and I watched Maxwell's face turn red as his own voice echoed through the courtroom talking about how he only stays for the mortgage and free housekeeping. The judge was not happy. Asked Maxwell's lawyer if his client would like to explain himself and Maxwell stood up and tried to say it was taken out of context and he was drunk and exaggerating. The judge said, "Drunk or not, those are serious statements that call into question his judgment and character." Then Franca presented evidence of Maxwell showing up at my workplace with his mother after being asked repeatedly to stop contact. The school incident, the multiple phone numbers after being blocked. The judge looked more annoyed with every piece of evidence. The judge ruled that I get primary physical custody immediately. Maxwell gets supervised visitation every other Saturday for 4 hours at a family visitation center, with a court-appointed supervisor present. He has to complete a co-parenting class before that supervision can be lifted. He has to pay me child support based on his earning potential, not his current unemployment. And he's ordered to stay away from my home and workplace or face contempt charges. Maxwell looked like he'd been slapped. His lawyer tried to argue and the judge shut him down, saying, "These are temporary orders, and if Maxwell can demonstrate stability and appropriate behavior, we'll revisit in 3 months." We left the courthouse and Maxwell tried to approach me in the parking lot. I pulled out my phone and started recording and said loudly, "You are violating the judge's order from 5 minutes ago by approaching me right now." He backed off immediately, called my dad from the car and told him and he started crying. Happy tears. Said he's so proud of me and he's sorry Maxwell turned out to be such a disappointment, but he's glad I'm protecting myself and Nora. Picked up Nora that afternoon and we went to the park. Just the two of us watched her play on the swings and thought about how different our lives are going to be now. It's going to be hard. Single parenting while working full-time, dealing with Maxwell's supervised visits, eventually co-parenting if he gets his act together. But we're going to be okay. Better than okay. We're going to be free from his manipulation and lies and using us. I'm done being the woman who does everything and asks for nothing. Done being manageable. Done accepting crumbs and calling it love. To everyone who commented saying, "I deserve better. Thank you. You were right." To everyone who said Maxwell will try to manipulate his way back in, you were also right, but at least I was ready for it. To the person who said the trash took itself out, literally the most accurate thing ever said. I'm 32 years old with a 4-year-old daughter and a divorce in progress. And you know what? I've never felt more powerful in my entire life because I chose me. I chose self-respect. I chose to protect my daughter from learning that it's okay to stay with someone who treats you like garbage. And that chocolate cake I made for his birthday, I ate the whole thing over the course of that first weekend and it was delicious. Have you ever found strength in your darkest moments? Or had to make a tough choice for your own well-being? Tell me in the comments below.